Hello there RPG lovers and welcome to yet another video about Outward, where I try to gather around useful information about the game and hopefully give you a good idea of how some features of this game work. If you have some questions unanswered, check out my previous videos I did about the game and join the official Discord channel if you have more questions. The developers and Outward community are really active and there's hardly any questions left unanswered. I'm also really excited to tell you that I managed to get a review copy, and this means I'll have a couple of videos ready for the release date, so be sure to subscribe and press that bell icon if you don't want to miss those future updates. Getting that out of the way, let's start our topic for today. Playing an RPG without too many options of how you're gonna stab, crush, chop or tickle someone to death is not a fun experience to say the least. Luckily, Outward got you covered. We have two weapon slots in this game, main hand slot and off hand slot. All one-handed melee weapons except the dagger goes to the first slot, while all two-handed weapons will use both slots, leaving you no option to carry a torch or a lantern in your offhand. When it comes to weapon variety, Outward has 8 melee weapon types: one-handed swords, axes and maces, and two-handed swords, axes, maces, spears and halberds. I suggest you to try out everything that you can get your hands on and then decide what suits your playstyle the best. You can choose to stick with one weapon, but just remember that it can break. It won't be unusable, but you'll do less damage. All weapons have weight, so you can't carry 100 weapons in your backpack. Apart from the damage stat, weapons also have speed and impact. Speed being self-explanatory, and impact is the stat that affects your stability when you get hit. Heavier weapons like maces have greater impact than swords, and plate armors have high impact resistance. Regardless of the weapon you find, buy or craft, you will need to learn a skill in order to use it. There is one skill per weapon type, and you will have to learn those skills by finding a trainer in cities. And of course, there are plenty of melee skills to learn that can be used with every weapon type. Just be sure to spend those breakthrough points wisely. Besides big weapon type variety, we also got a confirmation that we'll be able to find a lot of weapons in this game, so quantity is not a problem. There will be plenty of weapons to find for every weapon type. That pretty much covers the main weapon slot, and now we're gonna move on to the offhand, the second slot. Apart from weapons and shields, this slot will also be used for non-combat things such as lanterns and torches. When it comes to weapons that goes in this slot, we got daggers, pistols, chakrams, bows, shields and probably some more stuff. When you're using a one-handed weapon in your primary slot, these are some options you got from your offhand slot. One-handed melee weapon and a pistol, one-handed melee weapon and chakrams, one-handed melee weapon plus shield, one-handed melee weapon and lexicon, and so on. Like I mentioned before, equipping any two-handed weapon will use your both weapon slots. Unfortunately, there is no dual wielding in Outward. Technically, you can have a one-handed weapon in your main hand and a dagger in your offhand, but there is no skills for using two melee weapons at once. When we put all of this with skills we can learn, it seems like we can create some interesting and unique builds and playstyles. One quick tip about the offhand slot: don't use a lantern in it. Try and find a backpack that can carry your lantern for you and free up your offhand slot. You're also gonna find yourself using a torch a lot, since when it's dark you can't see anything if there is no light source. The game is really dark at night. And again, the torch goes in offhand slots, so you won't be able to wield a two-handed weapon. Quick tip: you can drop your torch on the ground and it will light up the area. Now, besides the big weapon variety, if we keep our eyes open while we explore the world of Aurai, we can find some precious artifacts that spawn once per character, meaning you only have one chance of getting those items. If you watched my previous video, I briefly mentioned co-op play and how you should be careful, because if your friend is a douchebag, he can ruin a lot of stuff for you. This also means that he can go and get those artifacts if he knows the location and keep them for himself. Like I said, the artifacts will never respawn, so beware. It will be interesting to try and find those special items and see what they do. I don't have much information about them, but that's probably for the best, because even if I knew more, I would not spoil it for you. At least before the release date. Wink. Okay guys, that will be all for this video. I hope you learned something you didn't already know about the game. Like I said at the beginning, I will cover Outward in depth, and now it will be a lot easier since I was lucky enough to get a review copy. This also means I will be able to do an Outward key giveaway really soon, so stay tuned. If you like the video, press the thumbs up button and subscribe to the channel for more content. This channel is based around RPGs in general, so if you like that kind of games, you're probably gonna find something worth your time. If you want to support the channel in the long run, check out my Patreon page. See ya! in the next one.